I'm standing in an area that was, before the last war, a ploughed field. Now in front of me there's the trough, the furrow that was made by the ploughs in those days, and it was probably done by horse. And then here we have a mound. The mound comes over here, and here's another furrow. So they're quite long plough lines. And to my right there's a mound here. So after the war, when the people weren't ploughing the fields because they probably got injured or whatever, the fields went back into succession, and what that means is that nature started recovering. And what happened, because the fields were clear, the seeds came in, the brambles took over, the grasses grew. And the grasses in a ploughed field, they grow really high. They start like this and they'll be growing up here. And what that does, it gives ants a really good place to build their little temples. So they put all the soil up into the grasses, and it helps aerate the colony. So this mound next to me, you can see that after about 80 or 90 years, whatever it is, it's a massive pile of soil, and that would have been an anthill about this high. And once the brambles and all of the other vegetation grew up around it, the grasses died off, and the ants moved home and went to another clearer spot. But the brambles started carrying on, and in amongst the brambles you had the tree seedlings, and the trees were germinating in amongst them, and the brambles gave them protection against the deer browsing them. So when the brambles grew up this high, supported by the trees, then the trees would grow up above and they carry on, and then you get this high canopy forest. And you can see the trees, they're not very big because they were all struggling for the light. So they're battling, and the winner of the day is the tree that has got more light and more nutrients at the base. So most of them are ash trees, and ash trees put their roots out on the surface so they get the best nutrition, and they are really well supported as well. But recently we've had something called ash dieback, and the ash dieback has killed a number of trees. This area here to my left is an area that was cleared last year, and we're going to just investigate that. So it's always interesting when you clear a bit of woodland what comes up, because what has happened is the seed bank within the soil has been stifled because it's had all the vegetation growing above it, high canopy forest shading out the light. We've replicated what in the old days wild cattle and wild boar would have done, which was clear the land and trees would have fallen over. And when the light gets in, the seeds that are dormant start sprouting. Here we have lady smock, or often called milkmaid. It's a beautiful little flower, and that's what's so important in this day when we need to support nature recovery. We need to help places become more abundant with wildflowers for the pollinators and for the birds and all the other species. But this is a really tasty little thing. Tastes a little bit like horseradish. So it's a nice thing. We've got primroses here. Primroses are quite nice as well. You can eat the flowers and you get a little hint of the nectar. But I don't like the green bit because it's a bit bitter. We've got herb robert here, which is a natural wild geranium. We've got dog violets. These are really important for the pale bordered fritillary because the larvae feed on them. So we're trying to encourage that because nature obviously needs support in this day and age. What I'm standing on here is an area that was a fire where we burnt a load of the brash because there's an abundance of it. And you can see that when there's a vacuum in nature, she takes back And this is where the spores of the mosses have found a really fertile base, and within 6 months this moss has grown. And moss is one of the best things for regenerating soils. In fact, our early soils were formed by mosses and algae. As they went on the bare rocks, they started breaking them down, and the mycelium, which is a fungal growth, got in there as well, and they work symbiotically and create really good soils. And this is in evidence here, because we've got some little fungi fruiting here in amongst the mosses. We've got also rabbit poo. Now rabbit poo is amazing because it attracts dung beetles. Now dung beetles are amazing because what they do is they dig down into the subsoil and they'll roll these little pellets of fertiliser down there. They'll lay an egg in there, and what that does, it aerates the soil, it takes nutrition into the subsoil, and it gives the tunnels for roots to access, water to access. It's all very beneficial. It's a good example of biodiversity and nature recovery. Anyway, that's all of that for now, and we'll see you in the next little video.